So, welcome everybody out here in the Danish summer night. I'm sorry for all the blinking stuff, but during night these DJI microphones are just like blinking everywhere. But at the very least, it's red, you can see it records. I'm out here finally after 3 years or so to photograph some Noctilucent clouds, and I'm super excited about it because I have a beautiful display this night right here. I've come out and you can see in this location here I have a couple of trees here in the background. You can also see I'm in the field. I'm standing in, you can see here, some tractor tracks. Generally you're not supposed to walk in the fields, but I did walk all the way to the end of the field and then walk in through the tractor tracks. So hopefully I'm not pushing down all the different weeds we have here. I think it's barley. It is night and I want to share some of these summer night photography techniques that I use when I'm out here photographing. First and foremost, you need to have a plan. So I spent some of the day refreshing some of the locations that I've been researching that may be potentially great for Noctilucent clouds here on Zealand. And these two trees here are some of them. So it's very important that you go out with a plan. I did make a fast stop on the way here because I saw a field with some fog on and the display of Noctilucent clouds above like a tree line, which I think actually looked pretty good. So I stopped for that too. But it's so important to have an idea about where you go, because obviously when you're out here, even though it's not super duper dark, it's only a day or two after summer solstice, so the sun really does not dip far below the horizon here in Denmark. But it is important to have an idea about where you want to go, because it is hard to scout while out at night and it's dark. It is of course also super important to bring a tripod because it's dark and you want to make some longer exposures. Right now I'm using the intervalometer with my A7R5, so I capture how the Noctilucent clouds are moving over the night sky. It looks super fascinating. So I make a little time lapse, and from that time lapse I can also choose the stills I want to present. I actually right now have my Sony 24-105mm on my A7R5, and that's because I actually don't need to have that super wide open aperture. That is much more important when I stand here and film. So right now I'm filming with the 20mm f1.8, so I gather enough light so you guys can actually see me, even though I'm at like ISO 50,000 f1.8. But that does give me a shutter speed of 1/30th of a second, so I ought to look somewhat smooth. So besides photographing the tree I'm shooting right now, I also want to give the one here in the further background a shot. So I should probably have changed the lenses on my two cameras, but that is a little bit too late now. And the lens I have on my A7R3 that I use for this photo here with the tree here in the background is simply too short. What I've decided to do is to change my composition from a wide shot to a vertical shot, and then I bring in much more of the foreground. Now it is going to be out of focus because I'm shooting at like f5-ish, and then I have an ISO of 1600, and that gives me a shutter speed of like 3.2 seconds or something like that. The Noctilucent clouds are super beautiful. As you can see here, they're just above the tree. So I do think that the shot will turn out pretty good, but I am going to just let the interval run for a little bit, and then I'm going to stack the photos so I get a clean foreground, and then I'll just choose like the best Noctilucent cloud photos for the background. And I'm of course also going to denoise these things here in Camera Raw, or if you use Lightroom, you can do it in Lightroom, and then I stack them in Photoshop. If you want to learn how I edit my photos and I do all these different techniques, be sure to enroll in my big Photoshop for Landscape Photographers post-processing course. It's here where I share all my different techniques for landscape photography, such as cleaning your photos properly, how to blend, how to work with luminosity masks, how to blend with luminosity masks, how to dodge and burn, how to use atmosphere to your benefit, how to add atmosphere, how to add glow, and much, much more. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you guys who have already enrolled, because it's because of you guys that I can have this as my job. There is a link to the course down in the description of the video, and of course be sure to use the coupon code to get 15% off. So I actually just decided to change the settings up slightly and make some exposures for the foreground. There's no wind, so I don't think that the barley will move at all. So I have put on a 30-second long exposure at f13, and then I kept the ISO at ISO 1600, and that ought to be able to give me a much more in focus foreground to the shot of the tree right there. As you can see here in the background, I also have an almost full moon coming up. It's not really helping a whole lot on the light. The light from the sun here gives more, I think. Doesn't it? I don't know. Anyway, some photos are coming up now. So what an absolutely gorgeous display this has turned into. Like, the Noctilucent clouds are just filling up a lot of the sky by now. So I've come down to the backside of the field, so all the way up and around and in to here between two fields. And from here I can get a little bit more of a compressed perspective of the trees, a little bit further apart from this angle. But honestly, I think it's okay when I shoot with the wide angle. And then I have the longer lens to zoom into the bigger of the tree, this one here. And the Noctilucent clouds around it are just like filling up the sky. It's probably the best Noctilucent clouds single lone tree photo I've ever taken. This here is beautiful, beautiful. Almost like, forget the other photos I just showed you. These ones here are probably even better. So one thing I definitely underestimated is how much dew that gets collected in the grass here. Such a rookie mistake, because I have been out photographing during the night before. But definitely I should have brought the wellies out here tonight. That's for sure, because I'm all soaked. Another thing is also that the Noctilucent clouds move over the night sky, so you'll have to change your composition as they change a little bit. Oh, right now they look super nice again. So yeah, you need to keep changing your composition, and yeah, in this case here I'm photographing a lone tree, so it's not that the photos in and of themselves change so much. I'm simply just lining up the lone tree with the more interesting parts of the Noctilucent clouds. But if you want to learn more about composition, you know the drill. My ebooks are down in the description. These ebooks are full of all my different compositional tools that I can use when I photograph Tonight I'm mainly just going for central compositions, but sometimes I also do off-center the trees if there's some interesting Noctilucent clouds, and then I use some kind of like rule of thirds-ish composition. With minimal text, the ebooks are super easy to read and there are tons of examples. As mentioned, there are links to both of them down in the description of the video. So I had actually planned to go to some other locations tonight. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but it's always good to have a plan B and have some other ideas when you move around. Generally what I'm doing every time I change my composition is simply that I take a 30-second long exposure at f13 ISO 3200 for the foreground, maybe take 3. Those I then stack as I mentioned. And then I simply just hammer off and take a lot of photos with a faster shutter speed, like 2 seconds, ISO 1600, and then f4.5 or f5 for the Noctilucent clouds. And that is simply just what I keep doing. It takes time, but it's like I'm not in a hurry. At some point the sun will come up, but right now I'm just like enjoying this. So this is a night that just keeps giving. So right now I also have some Noctilucent clouds like even further up, almost above me. I'm not sure you can see it here on the film camera, but I'll show you the pictures in a moment. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is such a surprise. I've just been wanting to go out for the past summers and photograph Noctilucent clouds. I didn't get a chance last year because I was busy. This is an absolutely phenomenal display of Noctilucent clouds. Now, if you want to know even more about Noctilucent clouds, be sure to check out my video up here in the corner. Be also sure to join some of the groups on Facebook called Noctilucent Clouds Watch, or just Noctilucent Clouds groups on Facebook. There are a lot of helpful people, and there are a lot of people who actually say when they see some Noctilucent clouds, so they take some photos in, let's say, Krakow or somewhere in Poland, or even over in Russia. And sometimes people also share links to web cameras that are specifically aimed towards the night sky, so we can see how it looks before they actually pop. And the good thing about Noctilucent clouds is that they are not moving as fast as the northern lights, so you actually do have a decent chance to seeing them yourself out the window, or someone else have told you that they are there when it's still nighttime, and then you can head out and there's a decent chance that the Noctilucent clouds will be there. But of course, if you want to learn even more about composition and even more about editing, check out the links down in the description of the video for my educational material. And I hope you enjoyed the video and the photos.